A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke.
Glory to you, Lord.
Jesus said to his disciples, "You know as well as I that if the head of the house knew when the thief was coming, he would not let him break into his house. Be on guard, therefore. The Son of Man will come when you least expect him." Peter said, "Do you intend this parable for us, Lord, or do you mean it for the whole world?" The Lord said, "Who in your opinion is that faithful, far-sighted steward whom the master will set over his servants to dispense the ration of grain in season? That servant is fortunate whom his master finds busy when he returns. Assuredly, his masters will put him in charge of all his property. But if the servant says to himself, 'My master is taking his time about coming,' and begins to abuse the housemen and the servant girls, to eat and drink and get drunk, that servant's master will come back on a day when he does not expect him, at a time he does not know. He will punish him severely and rank him among those undeserving of trust. The slave who knew his master's wishes but did not prepare to fulfill them will get a severe beating, whereas the one who did not know them and who nonetheless deserved to be flogged will get off with fewer stripes. When much has been given a man, much will be required of him. More will be asked of a man to whom more has been entrusted." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise you, Lord Jesus.
The gospel. You know, sometimes when you read the parables of Jesus, there are different, it triggers all kinds of thoughts in my mind. For example, this particular parable, as it was being read, I was smiling because I'm trying to figure out or trying to imagine the face of Jesus as he was narrating this gospel, this parable. Where is he getting that language? Where is he getting those images? Remember yesterday, he talks about the master who attended a wedding. And the servants were left in the house, and the servants did not know when he's coming, and he came. So they were waiting. Today, it's a thief who is coming in an unexpected way, like all thieves. They come in an unexpected manner. And then he enumerates 4 kinds of stewards. Now remember, he's asking us, the reader, and us today, to look at ourselves and which kind of steward are we. There are 4 here. All of them can be evaluated on the way they live their life prospectively. What do I mean by prospective living? You allow the future to influence and shape the way you live today. For example, if you're a father of, say, 4 children, and you know that in 10-year time, they will start schooling, that's future, 10 years. So you start thinking, how will that, in 10 years they will start their studies, that should influence the way you live today. You start saving and start working hard, right? So allow the future to influence the way you live and the way you act. So God is coming. It doesn't have to be the way we imagine the second coming. But God comes into our lives in different ways, in the most unexpected ways. One of which is death, because we are all mortal beings. It invites us to a new, transformed life in death. Or other incidents in our life, because we cannot predict. We may know so many things today, but we still are ignorant of what's going to happen tomorrow. Right? We know so many things, but one thing we do not know is what's going to happen tomorrow. So how do we live prospectively. So he presents four stewards. The first one is faithful. He says he's a faithful steward because he did what is expected of him. He lived prospectively. He knew God is coming, the master is coming, and he was active. He served the servants, he took care of his property. He was a faithful steward. Now, the second, third, and fourth, like how many stewards? Yeah, the three remaining stewards. Well, the first one, it says here, the first one, you see, I lost my notes. Here. The second one, so the first one is okay. The first one is okay, faithful one. So he was rewarded because he lived prospectively. The second one is a blatant, unfaithful steward, servant. Why? He abused the other servants and he wasted the resources of the master for himself. And the word that is used in the gospel text is he was punished. But you look at the Greek word, the komoteia, he was dismembered. He was cut to pieces. How can Jesus? That's why I'm trying to imagine. How did Jesus utter those words? What's the facial expression that he had when he was describing this blatant, unfaithful servant, dismembered, cut to pieces? That's the punishment of the second servant. And then, the third servant failed to do what the master wants. And what's the punishment? He was beaten with many blows. And the last one, the third one really is, he says, he failed to do what the master wants. He failed. He knew it, but he failed to do it. So he will be beaten with blows many times. And the last one was ignorant. Ignorant of what the master wants. And Jesus simply said, well, he acted that deserves punishment, but not so severely. Beaten slightly. You can see the degrees of punishment. Where did he get this? So in this parable is addressed to us. Therefore, if we desire to be stewards, definitely we have responsibility. And the question is, how do we live our life prospectively? Do we allow the future to influence the way we relate, the way we behave, and the way we deal with our life and that of God's prospectively?